We use the big guys, a combination of the most common providers out there. Our specialization is on how we prompt our AI to work with Ava, to become Ava. And that's been through the hundreds of conversations I've had with agents and TCs in the industry to understand not just how the laws and the real estate industry works, but what's the special sauce in being a good TC, a good agent.
Yeah.
And that's what we give to Ava.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. This is your host, Tracy Hayes, and I want to tell you, today's conversation is one that every agent, every transaction coordinator, and every team leader in this business needs to hear. Today's guest came from outside the real estate industry. He looked at the way transaction coordinators were hand keying contracts, manually entering data one field at a time, and said there must be a better way. So he built one. He took an AI assistant they call Ava from concept to working product in under a month, and what she can do will stop you in your tracks. We're talking about reading your real estate contract, including handwritten ones, in under 60 seconds, extracting every deadline, every party, every contingency, and building out your entire transaction timeline automatically. What used to take 35 minutes now takes under 5. The platform has processed over 2,100 transactions across 50 states, which I imagine is a little bit more now. Was named 2025 Inman Innovators Award finalist, and the agents and the TCs using it say it's like having a second set of eyes that never sleeps. Please welcome to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast the product lead for Listed Kit AI, Karan Khanna, to the show. Did I pronounce the last one?
You got it right. Yeah. Thank you
Right.
for having me, Tracy. I'm super excited to be here.
Right. I appreciate you coming on. I've had a handful of innovators in this space of AI. Obviously, it's a hot topic, and I often explain, and the people who listen to my show regularly, I believe AI is kind of like the moon. You've got to get your arms around it. There's a dark side, there's stuff that's going on that maybe you don't quite understand, but you have to lean into it to learn more. And I really appreciate you coming on. But tell us a little bit about, just briefly about your background and obviously what were you doing that, led you into seeing what was going on here in the real estate space?
Yeah, totally. I am a product manager by breed. By default, my mind goes to let's talk to people, understand their true needs, and then see if we can come up with some cool software solutions to solve their problems. That's actually what our parent company, Harmony Venture Labs, does every day. And they've kind of trained me over the years to have an eye for problem solving and then going and finding the unique solution to the problem. Listicate has been around since before I even actually joined Harmony Venture Labs. It's been going through several iterations. But the key challenge was always, how can we create a dynamic system? Because real estate transactions are dynamic. Everyone is unique. Everyone has a different buyer, different property. We've tried as an industry to templatize everything with rules and templates and structure, but then often when things go wrong, your whole system falls apart because old school software was kind of fixed in the way it would work. And you'd have to think of every possible outcome before it happened. But then with the advent of AI and ChatGPT being able to just answer your questions on the fly, we looked at that technology and we saw that's the perfect facilitator of a dynamic system that actually is proactive, can react smartly to things changing on the fly, and also can possess the deep knowledge that real estate agents need as they're on the go closing deals. And so we just took the problem of all this data that needs to be organized and the solution of the AI world, and we put them together. And now that's kind of how Listicate and Ava came to be.
What was you said Listicate was there before you. What was it doing initially? Was
Yep.
it was
That's a
it
good question.
always
So
doing this, or what was it? What was it
yeah,
initially created for?
I think I'm a little blurry on where it started initially, but I do know the state of Listed Kit before I hopped on and we turned it into Listed Kit AI,
Mm-hmm.
it was one of your traditional transaction management tools where you set up your templates, your workflows, and then you have to go in and type in your contract data. And then your templates would be there for you. And it would be more of like a checklist where it would tell you what to do on a big task list,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't actually able to like start getting the work done. And that's where we've been really pushing for Ava to actually write that email for you, send that email out, put the calendar event instead of just you do all this work to get a big to-do list, you know?
Now you're starting to bring in the project management part now. Okay, now
Yeah.
I'm actually putting that together.
Yeah.
Somebody might have our project management company that saw a project that needed to be managed, and that
Hmm.
was the transaction of
Hmm.
real estate.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. All right. So now you're coming from out. You're a project manager by trade. You come into this space. What did you initially learn? I imagine you went out and talked to agents and so forth, or what their pains were, or
Yeah.
transaction coordinators. What are some things you learned about the business? Initially kind of feeling this out.
That's a good question. So, for I guess chronological honesty, we started with independent TCs. Some of my team have been on Listed Kid longer than I have, so they gave me that context that
Mm-hmm.
if we can solve the problem that an independent TC has to solve, then everybody else kind of gets covered because an independent TC is doing the work for multiple agents across different brokerages, sometimes different states. They have the most complicated workflow. So we started with how does an independent TC manage email communications, contract reading, contract management for 50 agents at a time across different states. And I think it all boiled down to right now, everything lived in their head and they had to basically be on high alert for 14 hours a day. That was the like high level problem. They're checking their inbox constantly. They're checking 5 different tools. Some brokerages use SkySlope, some use Dotloop, some use, I guess, Zip Form. So just constantly checking everything, checking in on everything. And it's funny because I see a lot of parallel in my work being someone who has to coordinate with our engineers building the right product and our marketer getting the right messaging out there. I also have a similar, obviously not as intense, but similar role of facilitating our work to move forward. And that's what the TC does as well.
Yeah.
And so we started there, figured out, okay, these are the core workflows that TCs need help on. And then we compared that story to the agent who doesn't have a TC. And it was 1-to-1, just smaller scale of I want to be out there selling and managing my clients and delivering a stellar experience, but I find myself stuck in my office having to read through a bunch of documentation, update a bunch of tools, update a bunch of notes. I just want to be out there selling. And then the last piece of this was we spoke to the brokers, the team leads, and they said the same thing. I want my TC to be able to handle 2x the volume she's doing right now at the minimum. And I want my agents to just be outside the office. Is there a reality we can find it with technology today? And that's kind of where we've been building towards. And that's kind of how we like uncovered the problem that we're in right now.
Whoa, you're making I got another conversation that I'm having over here with another AI person. I mentioned Lyman Starmer, who I mentioned to you in our call last week,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff they're working on and branching over from the mortgage space and creating
Yeah.
leads, and then in their actual big engine on the backside is actually they want to feed with the data is follow up, which we know
Hmm.
90 something percent, I guarantee it. I don't know this, I'm not pulling any factual data from some studies, but I've been in the business, been in the business 20 years, been in sales for most of my life.
Yeah.
We know the follow up part is a huge gap as
Yes.
well. But
Hmm.
so to go back to my experience and people that regularly listen to me, but anyone listening to this the first time, having interviewed over nearly 300 of the top producing agents, primarily locally here in Northeast Florida, but some remotely. I'm going to expand out that with the show. But anyway, their challenge. And they reach this lid where the one agent by themselves has reached this lid. And we were talking a little bit about this pre-show. Now they got to make this gap jump, leap of faith? Do they hire a transaction coordinator now to do the talking with their client, or more talking with their client, where they were doing it before, but to save them more time to be more forward facing? And obviously, the broker you're talking about, they understand the power of the agent who is more forward facing, that is actually having longer conversations, spending more time with their clients that they're working with at that time, and then obviously being able to come back home or come back to the office and manage the business versus being in this part of the business of the operations part.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Why have an agent who specializes in being extroverted, being out there, creating a great experience for their client,
Mm-hmm.
sitting in an office instead of spending time with their family at the end of the day, just burning through paperwork, when now an AI can pretty reliably do all of that for you? That's
Right.
the big question we're solving today.
All right. So I actually have these questions, but we're just covering him all in natural conversations, which often happens. So I call it rubber meets the road, or oftentimes I use the word gumpified, following Forrest Gump. Let's make it real simple.
Yep.
Let's talk through and give some color commentary if you can, because I think what really sets or will resonate with the agents is
Mhm.
where you saw the challenge with the transaction coordinators that you're talking about, who really are similar to a solo agent, working, but they're working many contracts at the same time,
Right.
hopefully. But what pain you saw, and then how you've developed the actual process. So when using listed kit, it really, and correct me if I'm wrong, it really doesn't start until you actually have a contract. Is that correct?
Correct. That's the first thing we ask you to do after giving us your phone number is
Mm-hmm.
upload a purchase agreement or a listing agreement.
Okay,
That's the
so a listed agree.
yeah.
Okay, so an actual listing agreement. So either one. Okay. All right.
Because there's a bunch of work to be done on a listing too. It may be not as dense within a month. It's expanded over 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But our vision for you is you're handling volume that's beyond what you used to. And the more context you can give our AI assistant, the better. So let's start tracking your deal all the way from the listing agreement. But yeah, that's the first thing we ask you to do.
Well,
Upload a contract.
that makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
because a buyer really doesn't have anything going on. The listing, you already have the address to the
hmm
property, and you have some things that need to be done. Which let's start with, hey, I just got a listing,
Yeah,
so I'm going to upload the contract. What is Listed Kit helping you prior to actually having the purchase agreement?
that's a good question. So
Mm-hmm.
you upload your contract. Ava will pull the address, the listing dates, when the mark MLS needs to go live, like when the listing starts, when it expires, and she'll even create a task list for you based on whether you've given us your preferences before or just based on the contract. Just a simple list of all the work that needs to be done around managing that listing. And then once you're inside Listed Kit, you can store any documentation related to your listing. You can upload offers, you can review them with Ava if you need to. We're still cleaning up the offer management flow, but right now you have an AI that knows who you are, knows the property. You can give us your offers, Ava will go through them and help you work through that if you need to. And then any email communication regarding that listing can be done through Listed Kit. If you need to track those deadlines on your calendar, Ava will put them onto your calendar and manage those for you. Something goes wrong, something gets delayed, you can tell that to Ava and she'll actually help navigate that situation for you, whether it's sending an email to clarify something, moving calendar events around, keeping the listing up to date. All can be done with Ava.
All right. So again, we're trying to keep this really simple, and
Yeah.
obviously sometimes it's better sometimes to repeat ourselves for the listeners, because they hear it the first time, but then
Mm,
we're going through. I put that listed agreement in there. Obviously, we're going to have photos done.
yeah.
Obviously, imagine the agents telling you, "Hey, we're going to go live on this day."
Yeah.
The pictures come in. Am I uploading all those pictures into Listed Kit as well? Every possible thing? And is it communicating with the MLS? In other words, helping me actually create that, listing description, etc.
So at the moment, we don't communicate directly with the MLS. That's something we are working on. It takes a
Mm-hmm.
little time because we directly have to integrate with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can upload the images. You can ask Ava to generate a description and then just copy paste it into wherever you need to. Yeah, I think that's the simplest way to put it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things that, that I was telling the other gentleman he was working on, and we started talking about listing descriptions. And, there are people that are using, Chat GBT or Claude or
Hmm.
whatever at a very
Yeah.
basic level, and they're going in and typing a listing description, having to do it, but really having AI analyze the pictures and
Yeah.
everything as well
Hmm.
could
Yeah.
really accent your listing. Just a little tip out there: have
Yeah.
AI analyze the pictures. It might
Hmm.
point out things that you're not verbalizing. It will verbalize
Exactly.
for you. You can go in there and obviously clean it up. No, I don't want that, but oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. I didn't, because I hear one of the biggest challenges, oddly, is here in Florida, pool homes, and people actually not mentioning the house has a
The,
pool in the listing description. Yeah,
yeah.
you'd be
That
amazed.
that's a very good example. Yeah, you should absolutely be able to just, I mean, and you can just upload all the images and then have Ava take a look at them, draft them, and you could use those images. If you need to send them in an email to like have the client review, like, do these pictures look good? All that can be done within List Ticket.
Now, you did mention that you have offers come in, you can give Ava these
Hmm.
offers.
Hmm.
Explain, what is Ava doing with those?
So you can give offers to Ava and essentially create a context of all the buyers that you have kind of reviewed, and you can have Ava go through them, analyze what's the best offer, come up with an outreach plan. Like, we're going to email the client first and review these options with them, put that all into an email for you. Once the client confirms which offer they want to go with, we can then draft an email letting the other side know, okay, we're ready to go. And now we're kind of bleeding into where we're going next. But when we have eSign come live, which is pretty soon, we want to have you be able to send that offer for signature directly through ListKit. So we are starting to step into the future territory. So I'm going to reel it back in and stop there for now.
Right, right. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the things that, like the obviously e-sign is a common sense expansion, common sense add
Yeah.
on that you guys are working on, and everyone needs to understand this is cutting edge
Yeah.
stuff. And I've heard, location is, from a compliance standpoint, is analyzing their contracts, but to actually start your workflow
Hmm.
with the listing agreement, putting those dates in there. Now, when you submit the offer, someone makes an offer, you're uploading it into Ava. Ava looks at it. Is it giving you kind of a really just, all right, here are the key points. They're
Yeah.
offering this. They're offering this. They
Yeah.
want these contingencies. Anything special. So it's bringing those things out to you and putting them, the important things, because obviously the contract is the contract. There's a lot of words on there,
Right.
and sometimes there's spaces that are small, and you might overlook it if you're just
Hmm.
browsing it, especially if you're doing it on your phone.
Yeah.
Ava can actually go in there and it's going to create this really quick report that says, hey, they want to close by here. This is when they're offering. Here's their
Right.
earnest money. They want to use this type of loan, and they want
Yeah.
3% seller concessions.
Yeah. And like, let's say you have a rush of offers come in on a day, you could give all four of them, for example, to Ava, and she can cross compare and see which one's the best one and actually pull that analysis out for you in parallel. You
Mm-hmm.
know, reading four offers at once is now a thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously during COVID, I have an agent friend of mine. She literally had 60 offers on one house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and to be able to go through those and
Hmm.
analyze it, and then help you too. Maybe you're a new agent, and you, get Ava to give you some insight of why you would recommend, or obviously
Hmm.
create that little report
Right.
and send it to your seller and say,
Hmm.
here are the reports. Here's
Hmm.
my data. I recommend A, but maybe you want to consider C or D.
Right.
In the
Exactly.
offers, and then it's on them. They made the
Hmm.
choice, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. So not every agent might see great value in it, but obviously you can start to use that
Hmm.
data
Hmm.
for a lot of different things. I mean, I think people don't realize the things they do. I mean, after 300 episodes of a podcast, I've got my manuscript for a book, because I've got a
Oh,
ton.
wow.
I got more content than I can handle.
Nice.
I can write several books, different topics, obviously.
Right.
All right. So up to the point of actually agreeing to choosing one of those offers,
Hmm.
anything that we want to talk about from the standpoint of uploading the listing agreement, anything you want to share with the agents of just little things that you've got in there that are going to help them pre-contract from the listing agreement to the actual getting a contract?
I think we've covered most of it, where all your email communication, all your deadline tracking, any offer management you want to do up until getting it signed, all can be just easily done in Listing Kit. And then as you start doing multiple listings, we keep up with that scale with our task management systems. You could start increasing the number of listings you're accepting and manage all of it through Listing Kit quite easily. So I think that's a good place to keep it.
Imagine, just like you go in, if you go in, I actually jumping over to Claude now. I was using ChatGPT
Yeah.
for a while. I just opened my
Mhm.
Claude account. So, you go in there and you're giving it some of the background on you. There's some different settings that you're going in there and in doing. In this
Right.
stage of things, I would imagine, obviously, Ava's going to ask you, when do you expect to put this house on, go live, right?
Right.
Um, and then it starts to set the parameters around it, type of thing.
Hmm.
Is there any? Is it able to talk to pretty much any email platform? Because I imagine, and obviously, so it's putting it in your your calendar and so forth.
Oh yeah, we integrate with Outlook and Gmail. That covers about 90% of the
Yeah.
market. And yeah, you can connect with either, and then Ava will be able to send emails on your behalf. Obviously, you have to review them or update your calendar accordingly.
I would imagine, I mean, just some feedback from your clients initially on that part of what
Hmm.
Listed Kit does, even after contract.
Yeah.
Because you have several dates in there. So for instance, I was sending out an email because one of my loans got approved today. That's
Hmm.
on their things, right? Loan approval by a certain day. I would imagine the fact that that's already being fed in there and filling in all those time periods. They're
Hmm.
just amazed by watching their calendar fill up that would have took them 5 or 10 minutes or longer to go through, put all the dates in their calendar manually and so forth. It's automatically putting them in there. I mean, what's some of the initial reaction just on that?
Oh yeah, I mean, the first thing we built was you upload your contract and you watch Ava read it in front of you and pull all that information out.
Mm-hmm.
That itself was a huge aha moment for our users because they were like, "Oh my god, this is being done for me. This is great." And then once your transaction is set up after that it's read, you just ask Ava, "Put the timeline on my calendar." And in a couple of seconds, she's created calendar events for everything with colors and descriptions. And I mean, it used to take, for that level of detail that she's doing, it used to take like 20 to 30 minutes to do because it's, 10, 12 deadlines. In a
Right.
couple of seconds, she's gone through and created all of it. You just hit approve and then it goes onto your calendar. Very, very positive response. And we have a lot of our users, I mean, using it every single day, putting events onto their calendar. Ava can manage those events moving forward too. Closing got
Mm-hmm.
delayed. Don't worry, I'll update your calendar as well as your Listicate account. We're trying to keep it almost invisible, but it mirrors what's happening to your calendar inside Listicate as well.
And
You know?
you're able to actually speak to Ava. In other words, I've uploaded the contract. It's put all those dates in there,
Mhm.
but now I got the inspector on the phone,
Yeah,
and they're saying, okay, we can be over there on Monday. Well, that's not on the contract.
right,
So am I able to just go, hey, Ava, on the contract for 123 Main Street, we're gonna have the home inspector there 10 a.m. on Monday.
right. So right now you can go into that property and then click the mic and talk to Ava. The only thing you have to do is click into the mic,
Right.
or sorry, click into the deal that you want to give Ava the information for. But again, if we start talking about where we're going, that's exactly
That's
where
where
we
you want
want
to
to
get
be.
to.
It's
Yeah.
just you send her a text message, just or like a simple chat message, and she figures out which deal it is and then updates that accordingly. So yeah.
Now, here on the loan side, obviously our technology comes in. 99% of the customers are using, or a lot of, I wouldn't say 90. They're clicking the link and going on and filling out the app. It's coming in through our origination software. Then it goes into the Encompass is one of the most popular products there. But that is automatically talking to our CRM. So that customer, its their date of birth, all the information that is relevant for us,
Mhm.
for follow up, email, date of birth, that addresses obviously, that's immediately going to our CRM. Is Listed Kit? Have you made that connection yet? That is immediately putting those people in the CRM.
We are connected with Follow a Boss right now. We're working on expanding that integration list to other CRMs.
Right.
But with Follow a Boss, the minute you upload a deal, Ava recognizes, oh, you have these contacts in Follow a Boss, and automatically pulls in their phone number, email, ready to communicate with them, whether it's in Listing Kit or in Follow Boss. So yeah,
Right.
we have that set up for one. We want to expand it to, I think there's Lofty and Bold Trail. I think there's a bunch of other CRMs that we want
Yeah,
to go after
yeah.
and
Or
do the
let
same
alone
thing.
proprietary CRMs that some of them have created. Again, another
Right.
step that the agent would want to do is adding all these people to their CRM. It's
Mhm.
automatically doing it. It's
Yes.
automatically putting that in there because there's a lot of times during the transaction there's somebody's birthday and you don't even know it because you're not really paying it. They inputted their date of birth, so you don't really pay attention to it unless
Right.
something comes up and says there's an error for that on the credit report. The date of birth don't match, right? Otherwise, I'm not even looking at it. But if it's in the
Yeah.
CRM, all of a sudden you're getting this. Hey, it's so and so's birthday 2 weeks into the transaction. Great reason to call them and say hey, type of thing. So again,
Yeah.
another step there. Yeah.
That's a cool idea, actually. I think I'm gonna have my team look into. Can we have Ava remind our users like this your client's birthday today or in 2 weeks? That's a
Mm-hmm.
really good idea. I'm gonna note that down.
Yeah, it happens. It's probably 50% of the time. There's something that happens during one or two. Somebody's got a birthday, and
Hmm.
I've seen it come up, or even shortly after they close, or something like that. But anyway,
Right.
all right. So I think that entering in the CRM is huge because again, talking with the data is your net worth is your network is your net worth. That's
Right.
the phrase I keep using. And Jonathan Lickstein with Location gave me that one. And
Hmm.
so obviously getting that information immediately into your CRM is important. All right,
Yes.
so we've got the point. Now we actually have a contract. We're good with it. You've
Yep.
already had uploaded it. Maybe let's make the play. Let's run the scenario. You uploaded 3 offers. Great weekend. Got 3 offers. You chose option A. You tell Ava we're going with A. I assume you don't have to upload it again. It's already in there,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, once it's signed, yes, you'll have it in there,
Okay.
and then
You're
yeah.
you're working to be able to say, hey, we're going with A and send it out for signatures.
Right. Right.
Okay. Okay.
So
We're
in the
working on that.
meantime, you probably would have to get it signed and then give it to us again if you want to do that, or you can just say like, Ava, read the offer, and then later we'll have the signed version uploaded to Listing Kit.
Okay.
It's up to you how you want to do it. Typically, our users just get it signed and then give us the final signed version as the one to follow. Because also between us wanting to confirm the offer and actually being signed by everybody, a day or two could pass and things change again. So,
Yeah, I imagine a
um,
lot of them are not uploading all their offers. That's
right,
that
right,
that that'll come. They're probably already doing the agreement, and then they upload it to you. So you get the signed agreement.
yes.
All right, it's scanning in there. Tell us what Ava's doing now.
Yep. So she'll pull the address, all the parties involved, any phone number, email in the contract. She'll pull that. If you have Follow Boss connected, she's pulling that information from there. She's building your contract timeline. Then she's mapping out, okay, in order to be compliant, here are all the documents we need. So she's also keeping eyes on compliance for you. And then lastly, she comes up with a task list, either based on preferences you've given us in the past or based on your contract. So you don't need any setup to use Listing Kit, but you can set up and customize Ava over time. So yeah, that all happens in about 5 minutes. And once those 5 minutes are done, our deal is ready to go. And you're ready to start communicating, managing your deal as you please. But yeah, you can.
You're putting everybody in there from the loan officers involved, the title
Yes.
company,
Mhm.
everybody, just like a transaction coordinator would.
Correct.
One thing I like about the transaction coordinators, or I wish there was the real estate agents are on the contract.
Hmm.
A lot of times the transaction coordinator is not. I just
Yes.
save their last email. I always leave in my box because that way I can go right to it and say, oh yeah, Brooks on this thing. I
Yeah.
sent it, replied to the email and say, hey, it's approved. Loan hit a conditional approval. So I'm always sending it out. This is putting in all that information. So am I able to leap forward here and assume that at any moment I could tell Ava to send an email to any one of the people who we've loaded their information into
Yes.
Listed Kit has read?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so once the deal is set up, you're just in a chat with her now, and your deal information's on the side, so you can chat with her about your deal. You can ask her to write an email to anybody you want,
Mhm.
and she'll draft it. If she doesn't have their email address, she'll just ask you for it in the chat. So it's not even make or break of we have it initially. You can provide information as we go, and then it gets stored into Listic Kit as we're learning new information from you about the deal as well.
So you could be talking to Ava just like you would Chat GPT or Claude or
Right.
any of those, and say, "Hey, I need to draft an email. It needs to be professional. I need to explain to them that blah 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 blah," and
Yeah.
it'll take that transcript and put it into a professional email.
Yes. And pull any contract info that was needed from before and fill it out into your email as well. Yep.
Right.
And then
All
you
right.
can customize your signature and hit send directly from Listed Kit. And it'll go out from your inbox as if you wrote it yourself manually in Gmail.
So agent, they could be out on the road with the phone in their hand and tell Ava, I need to write this email. She'll do it. You look at it, say, good. Yeah, go ahead and send that to Ava, and it's off.
Yes, I can actually like be more confident with that because we have recently mobile optimized our app, so you
Right.
can easily just go in and have her write it in the chat on your phone as well.
Yeah, because go back to what we originally talked about. I mean, this is what
Yeah.
the smart brokers are trying to do is take the load off their agents, so they are out, prospecting or
Hmm.
spending time actually with the client they're working with. And the
Right.
best real estate agents out there will tell you the more time they can really spend. I'm going to share Kavanaugh. What'd she call it? The couch appointment, something like to sit on the couch with the clients. So you go look at a house, sit on the living room
Yeah.
couch with them, and to spend that really quality time and listening to them because
Hmm.
they are selling the house. Hopefully that they're that's why they're sitting on the couch and they're just getting a feel for what's going to be like living there. But they're also marketing and they're selling themselves as someone who's listening to them, and they're able to actually to take their brain off this type of stuff that we're talking about, listed kits
Yeah.
looking up, and spend that more quality time
Hmm.
with it. All right. All right, so we've got the timeline. What are some of your solo agents? Give us some feedback that you're getting from your solo agents out there, and I imagine many of them are at different assets. Some are brand new. Some, having maybe not have done their first transaction yet. Some are, are really busy that they're actually hitting that lid that I was talking about earlier, and they're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, I got to do
Hmm.
something." So I imagine you're working with clients all in between those two spaces right there. What kind of feedback are they doing? And then have they actually taught you anything that you went and added here in the last year
Yeah.
into Listed Kit?
Yeah. That's a good question. So I think on the solo agent side, we've seen a lot of positive feedback around. Obviously, the contract reading is great. It's super quick, gets the timeline built. They love the calendar integration because they live by their calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put all your deadlines, all your tasks onto your calendar, then you just have Google Calendar open and you're on the go. Our teams using, get hitting volume have given us a lot of positive feedback on the templatization that we allow. So over time, if you like the work that Ava is doing, whether it's a good email or a task list she comes up with for you, you can ask her to save those as templates. And then over time, we're setting up deals even faster where we're just following a simple rule set that obviously, if a template has something that doesn't need, then Ava will point it out or remove it. But we're following a strict list of work and we're being able to do that across the board, across all 10, 12 deals a month, really easy, really quickly. So essentially, the main thing we're doing as the agent is just uploading documents into Listicate and then sending emails out. Everything else is being kind of automatically handled by Ava in the background. Trying
I
to
got a lot of
unpack what I
questions.
just said.
A lot of I'm pulling in everything here because it was I think if you told me appreciate it's been about a year since
Yeah.
Ava's actually out there working with it. And the second part of the question, what is some of the agents feedback that they gave you that actually implemented a new
Yes. Yes, I did actually. I skipped over that. So
yeah.
when we started a year ago, we just had the contract reader and then you had to do everything yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Ava would read through it, set up a deal for you, but it was just like a task list. So our big push over the last couple of months has been building different tools for her, like drafting emails, doing compliance scans, checking for missing signatures, creating calendar events, a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback we got from agents, I think, have been across the board. We'll start with the biggest one was when she reads the contract in my state, she needs to follow this convention. Okay, we'll update that. For example, in Florida, everything's business days. Just automatically apply that across the board. Don't let Ava use her judgment there. Sure, that's pretty simple. Then on the writing emails piece and the actually outbound communication, we got some feedback of Karan. Ava's too formal. She sounds like she's reading a textbook on real estate instead of writing like a human. Cool.
Right.
Updated her prompts to be a bit more human over time. And also, I think we've spent a lot of time curating, well, actually improving how fast the chat is. That was a big thing we heard, was like Karan, she takes very long to respond. That obviously just comes from how the old models used to be slower. And then over time, as AI got better, Ava got faster too.
Right.
And I think a big feature that came from our users was the follow a bus CRM integration that even you mentioned. I think that was like one of the first things you mentioned in this podcast is I've already given all of my contact information to my CRM. I don't want to have to keep entering it again in Listikit, and then when I'm sending emails here, I have to do the double work because
Right.
then I have to stop my car, open my computer, open up my CRM, and copy paste my emails in the list. I don't want to do that. I just want it
Yeah.
to automatically happen. So those are some of. I mean, I think it's hard to pinpoint specifically what's been built on feedback because truly my job as the product manager on Listikit and the product lead is everything we build comes from the customer. The only caveat is we don't listen necessarily for solution ideas. We go deeper into what problem is, you know, really hurting you the most right now,
Right.
and then we come up with a different set of solutions. So, in a way, everything in our product has been built from our users and their feedback. Again, not being in real estate, I really don't have many opinions on what.
Well, it helps you prioritize. I would imagine
Yes,
the feedback helps you prioritize and feel
correct.
where their pains are. And
Yes,
obviously, they say one thing, but they're, the way they're describing it, but it there actually means this,
yes.
and you have to
Oh,
translate that.
best example for that is
Mm-hmm.
the client portal.
Mm-hmm.
People keep asking us for a client portal. And when I say they keep asking us, it's more like on a demo. They'll ask me, like, do you have a client portal? And I explain that the old listing kit had a client portal, but the biggest complaint we got was nobody would sign into that client portal. And we needed all these other ways to update our clients. So I, from that, realized, okay, they're coming asking for a client portal, but the solution or the problem they're facing is they want their clients to be up to date. So we built a very proactive emailing system so that Ava can keep emailing our clients on every deadline to keep them up to date. We built a clean, nice summary of the transaction in a PDF that you can share with your clients so that they have something to physically hold on to. And we're working on the ability to text your clients so that, your clients use their phone, they check their text, simple, invisible way to keep them up to date. And that's kind of like how the role has evolved is we just listen to the feedback, we go deeper into the problem, and then we map out different solutions that we believe are more effective than maybe what we think the industry should be doing right now. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And the reason why I was looking down, an idea came to my head with your client portal. So from a lending side, there's a company called Encino,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of lenders use it. It's had different names, but Encino is actually the company behind it. So obviously we have compliance on our side. Documents have to be sent out at a certain time. Clients are uploading documents. You want a secure portal for that. All that kind of thing is going on. And you gave me an idea of how could a real estate agents, like they're using Listed Kit, could they link into the Encino portal so when the clients are working with that lender, they are going to one portal for their loan stuff and
Yeah.
they're in obviously whatever they're having to deal with the realtor in the
Mm-hmm.
communication, because we communicate through that. If we need a document, we go into Encino, we say, hey, we need a updated bank statement. It sends the customer that email, so the customer could just click on that link and upload their bank statement
Yeah.
right into.
That would be really cool. I think that's kind of where we want to go to. I think
Mhm.
the loan side of things is quite complicated and there's a lot of compliance there. So we've been kind of careful about getting
Yeah,
into that
I could see
experience.
this from a security standpoint of
Right.
what data can be seen, but brilliant minds, I think, I say that because I could just see the first complaint going to be, I got a portal for my lender and
And
I
I have
got
a
a
portal
portal
for my
for my
realtor.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah
So that's what I'm saying. It's like if Ava has an email that you can email and a phone number you can text, then your client can just provide all that information to Ava and then she can take the burden of distributing it to the
yeah.
lender, to the agent, to wherever it needs to go. And I think that's kind of the experience we're trying to create, is an invisible
So if the
workflow
when the
that's really
client
powerful.
responds to that email, or anyone responds to an email that Ava creates,
Mhm.
well, Ava's connected to your emails. Is she seeing those come in, the replies?
So as of
And I don't want to
April
put you on the
7th,
spot if you
20,
don't have this yet.
April 7th, 2025, we don't have it live to everybody, but we
Mhm.
are testing it with some of our design partner teams. Ava is able to monitor your inbox and pull in emails, pull in documents, and then manage them in Listicate. We plan on having that live to the world within the next couple of weeks to a month.
So you can manage the specific emails that are going to that specific client.
Yep.
You could see them in your email box, but Ava's actually pulling them and putting them
Correct.
under that
Yes.
client. So you could go back, or even later, who knows, if something
Right.
was to happen, and say, here's all the emails that you and Sally Smith had on that
Yeah.
address. They're all right here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the perfect segue to actually the experience we want to be at, and that's what we're pushing for over the next couple of weeks. Is we've built the ability for Ava to monitor your inbox. We've actually built form filling and e-sign internally that we're now testing with our users. We've given Ava a phone number so you can text her and she'll be able to text you. And all of this is being packaged as the next Ava 2.0
Uh,
or Agentic Ava. We're still working on the branding and positioning of it, but the idea is now Ava will have all of these tools that you typically are working in the back office work. And we're switching her from like an augmented, let me simplify, switching her from how you'd have to chat with ChatGPT every day to move the needle
mhm.
to an automatic agent, AI agent that wakes up every morning, figures out what needs to be done on every deal, and starts running through the work
You,
automatically.
you you said text messaging there for a minute, so let me play the scenario that you put in my
Yeah.
head, or
Hmm.
so I may be working with a client, maybe sitting at a closing sometimes, we're sitting there in the
Yeah.
agents, and Ava sends a message that, hey, so and so's appraisal's back, or something, whatever, I don't know, whatever. So you want to send an email out to the customer for whatever information you might have just gotten. You're sitting there, you could just text back, Ava, strike up an email telling the Smiths that their appraisals are back, or whatever the topic is. Proof it. I mean, give me a sample for me to prove. Boom. She texts us back. That's what she's going to say. You say okay, and boom, it's off. It's
That's
just
the
all done
plan.
by
That's the
by
vision.
text message.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the vision. I think the
So
first version is going to be more around just like questions and answers to start. But yes, that's exactly the vision of being able to review emails that need to go out just on the go really quickly and text Ava, hey, what's that lockbox number again? Wait, what's my next appointment today? Just all of those questions and answers that need to be done. You can just text her. And then we want her to be able to remind you to, like 8 in the morning, you get a text from her saying, here's your plan for the day. Let's start knocking these things out,
yeah.
all in a cohesive experience.
Well, we're driving in our cars, and you hit the thing and say, hey, text so and so, and you verbally give them the text, and it sends
Right.
it. I mean, that's the kind of conversation I imagine you envisioned having with Ava. Like you said, hey,
Yes.
where's my next appointment this afternoon? Hey, I just
Mhm.
left that one. Where's my, that type of having that kind of conversation.
Right.
All right, let's change it a little bit. I want to get some feedback. So we talked about solo agents and everything it's doing for them. And when you and I, were talking about this, and then the questions, the topics that you brought over, playing obviously now with a brokerage or maybe even a large team of several of agents, what leverage it will give you. And I know one of the challenges in this business, having talked to many agents who have moved, obviously I ask them why. Some brokers are out there trying to add whatever value they can because there's a huge competition and the splits and so forth. So the broker's got to show value. That's the biggest
Right.
thing. A team leader or a broker, they have to show value why that agent is part of that brokerage or part of that team. And what are you getting? The brokerages that have picked this up, or even the team leads have picked this up. What kind of feedback are you getting from them, and
Yeah.
how they're leveraging it with their group?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we've seen like a recent explosion of teams adopting List Ticket. It's been really awesome to see. The way we've kind of set it up, you can basically put your contract in and have a task list where each task is assigned to a different team member in 5 minutes. maybe 7 minutes. And it's super quick. Communication is so easy through ListicKit. Also, when multiple people are working on one deal or they are working across deals, they all each get an instance of Ava that they can chat with. So you're not waiting on somebody else to complete the work. We have easy ways to leave notes for each other and actually, like, I guess, in parallel, push Ava to move the deal forward all together. And we've even seen a big influx of listing coordinators jumping onto the app. So they'll have a listing coordinator doing the listing side. And when it's time to go under, the transaction coordinator or the closing coordinator comes in and takes the deal over, all in just one system as we're building up these templates, these preferences across the team over time.
You just said template, and actually makes me go back to the previous question we were talking about sending an email. Can
Yeah.
you set up basically email templates that you've already approved
Yes.
for some of the standard things that you might send an email out to
Mhm.
a client during the process, just as an update? Say, hey, Ava, send the XYZ email out to the Smiths, and
Yeah.
because you've already approved it, it's
Mhm.
just putting their names in there and sending it.
Yeah, you can set up as many templates as you want to with like fields if you want to set those up. You can tell her which documents to attach. And we have even a when should Ava use this field where you just type in when she should use it. Then when you're on the go, you can just send EMD template or send EMD email and she knows which template to use and just fills that out for you and then it's ready to go. So super simple to set up and use.
What have you found from the standpoint of the workload of the transaction coordinators? Because going back to the brokerage or team
Yeah.
play, they've spent money. They've got probably a lot. A brokerage may have a few people. I know my wife's brokerage here. They've got a handful of people handling many high level agents.
Hmm.
And what have you seen these situations? They're being able to leverage listed kit and
Yeah.
one person being able to do just that much more.
Yeah, I think we have a bunch of case studies on our website about this. We've seen teams double their volume over a span of 3 to 4 months, and they do that without expanding the number of people on the team. We've heard subjective feedback of agents using Listikit saying clients have been reporting very positive experiences with their email communication, as well as I know specifically one of our agents has worked with another agent on the other side before, and that agent has mentioned, oh my god, your email communication is significantly improved so much, how are you doing it?
Right.
And obviously our users try to keep play it cool, saying, oh, I'm just more organized now. But it's funny to see people are sending more emails every single day. Our metric has actually been very unique at ListicHit because it's not something you would do before in real estate, but the number of people chatting every day with Ava has, I think it was kind of like floating low in the beginning as people were adopting it, and then it spiked in January, where we have hundreds of users just chatting with Ava every single day, moving the needle on their deals. And so we're seeing increases in adoption, transactions started, deals closed across the board as people are setting Ava up better and then using her more for their deals.
Which is like any AI platform out there, right?
Yeah,
You've got to dive in, and then when you realize there's this Ava there,
yeah,
and you got to talk to Ava, and Ava
yeah.
will do amazing things for you if you give her some attention.
Right, that's true because it was funny. Like our first few users would set up their deal, and then they would see the chat and immediately run to the task list because that's what they were comfortable with.
Right.
And over time, we built in simple systems of Ava reminding you and suggesting stuff in the chat, and then the user would finally get curious and say, oh, "Okay, let's try it out once." And then once they start chatting with Ava, they're hooked and they're working through their deal, they're doing everything. And then we give people the ability to move Ava to the center of your screen,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen more and more of our users start moving Ava to the center and just chatting with her every single day instead of doing things manually themselves. So it's been really awesome to see the adoption amongst our own users of Ava over time.
Yeah, that is that. Well, I truly believe right now, as much as we see on the news, There was a great meme the other day where there's this bunch of people in a conference room and they're just going AI, 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 AI,
Right.
and no one really explaining, which is very typical in the real estate
Yes.
industry. They talk at 30,000 feet and not what
Hmm.
actually is happening.
Yeah.
And so they talked about AI at the conference I was at. But what about AI? What was it?
Yes.
What was it actually doing for you?
Doing for me.
Where I call rubber meets the road. In
Yes.
this case, obviously, we're talking about the contract, where,
Correct.
and what it's able to do, and obviously to have the trust, which is the next question that I had on there, because
Hmm.
you segued me nice. The trust now just to go to Ava
Yeah.
and watch her do all the things that I'm sure they still keep a corner of the eye. They check to make sure she did
Yes.
it because they want to see it show
Right.
up there. Because
Yeah.
we're still, I think many people were just still amazed by the technology and how
Yeah.
fast it's going. So the trust question, leading into everything I just said, to rely on AI.
Yeah.
I will actually. I'm gonna put a little story in here. I'll try to be as quickly as possible because it is. I have a lot of transcripts from many episodes, and I'm writing a book that I mostly have done through ChatGPT. It's taken over a year because it's gotten better and better. But I actually sent the manuscript to an author, a guy who
Hmm.
has 6 books. He's well known and hung out with many other authors. I said, hey, he's a fellow alumni grad. I said, hey, will you take a look at this manuscript and tell me what you think? Be as blunt as possible. One of the things he said in there was, Tracy, you write really good for a Citadel grad. And I was not an English major, I will tell you. And I told him that before. I said, dude, I was an education major. I was not an English major. So, bear with me. He thought my writing was good. But what it was is me leveraging AI to be
Hmm.
better. Be
Hmm.
the $6 million man. Now I can write a book because I have it here and in my
Yeah.
transcripts. I can spill it into AI and it can help me look good.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
It literally it cuts down the time from idea to action, and that's what we've always been about. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
in the professional workforce as a civilization is we want to be able to go act on our cool ideas, and AI is empowering us to do that.
Yes.
On the trust piece for Listicate, I think there's two angles to it. One is, can I trust Ava to do what she says she's going to do? And the other angle is, what about my data? So we'll talk about the first thread there is,
Yeah.
when you first start using Listicate, Ava's going to ask you for approval on everything: creating tasks, drafting emails, sending those emails, moving deadlines around. And the idea is, over time, as you start to trust her more, you can adjust your level of approval so she becomes more autonomous in certain things. As of today, she still asks for approval on pretty much everything. So you can trust her to wait and not just go ahead and do something, because she will ask for approval on every single thing. We're working in, because we've been getting feedback from users like, Karan, you know what? I kind of trust Ava now. I'd like to let her do some things automatically.
Right.
So we're building in an approval system pretty soon as well. On the data side, we don't have a model internally that we train an AI on or anything like that. We use the big guys, a combination of the most common providers out there. Our specialization is on how we prompt our AI to work with Ava, to become Ava. And that's been through the hundreds of conversations I've had with agents and TCs in the industry to understand not just how the laws and the real estate industry works, but what's the special sauce in being a good TC, a good agent.
Yeah.
And that's what we give to Ava.
I
So,
would record
yeah.
those conversations and give it to her directly. Just my advice.
That, I mean, we want to build a transcripting service for you where you can record your conversations with your clients. But typically, we actually, you're right. When I do feedback calls with our users, I do ask them, can I transcript this? And then we do a summation of the transcripts to come up with rules on how Ava should behave.
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, a couple of the people that I want to introduce you to that are, using AI and working with agents, not directly in what you're doing,
Yeah.
they're doing it for marketing and other things.
Hmm.
They're having direct conversations with them and recording them
Yeah.
so they can, when they create their marketing stuff, it's them. It's them talking, and
Yeah.
they're seeing their market they're in, and
Right.
all the information they're providing.
So that's actually how we got the babysitting word. We got that from a bunch of team leads and brokers saying, "Oh my god, I'm so tired of having to babysit every deal
Mm-hmm.
because the agents are on the go, I'm on the go, the TC's overwhelmed. I don't want to have to babysit all these deals. I wish there was a way for something to actually keep that all together." And so we heard that across a couple of team leads, and we were like, "Okay, let's experiment with that." And then that's kind of how we adjusted our marketing strategy as well.
Now, I don't know, maybe because it's in their existing system. But let's just say, for example, I'm a team lead. I've got 30 agents, working for me. So I've got a couple of operations people that are
Yeah.
using listed kit. Can
Mhm.
I, as a team lead, see in all the transactions that might be going on at one time in one place in listed kit? Can I go in
Yeah.
and talk to Ava, or just get information from Ava? Or do
Yeah.
they
We
have
have a
another? Is there
dashboard.
another platform for that?
No, yeah. In Listicate, we have a dashboard where if you're a team lead or you're the owner of the account, you
Mm-hmm.
can see every single deal and where it's at, and jump into any one and chat with Ava and ask questions about each deal all in one place. And that's kind of also a big
That's
push we've
awesome.
been making, is to
Mm-hmm.
make that even better for our team leads over time. So that's a big priority of ours moving forward.
Cool. Cool. All right, let's. So we've uploaded our. It's just because we want to go back and make sure everyone sees this full picture. I guess obviously you guys are always improving because you want to.
Yeah.
And I don't know if at any point it'll be completely done, because we know every transaction changes. What are some things, I guess, some gaps, I guess you would say, that you guys are investigating on how to fill right now? Is there anything right now that sticks out to you that
Yeah.
happens during a transaction that you haven't quite solved yet, but obviously your team's working on trying to figure out how to make
Right.
that?
Yeah. There's a pretty big gap between where we are and where we want to go. And we're trying to jump directly there by May 1st, ideally, with Agentic Ava, where one, the big gap is she doesn't wake up on her own and do work autonomously. So we're going to switch the engine that powers her so that she can wake up and start. Anytime an email comes in, she doesn't just wait for you to like approve it. She just takes it, runs with it, updates her transaction, keeps working, wakes up in the morning, figures out what needs to be done for every deal and starts doing it. We know that forms need to be filled and sent for signature as a part of the transaction work. We're giving her those tools as well. And again, by May 1st, we want her to have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we want her to be able to text people, because I know agents on the fly just want to
Yeah.
be able to send a quick text, ask a question. So all of these together will be launched as a new experience called Agentic Ava that will be ideally live by May 1st if all our testing goes smoothly. Where now you just give her the contract, you train her like you would train an assistant, you know, give her your templates, give her your preferences, and then she just goes. And then you'll be able to, even with the approval system that I had mentioned before, curate like what does she stop and ask you for help with, or what does she just go and deal with herself. And now you're really setting up your own assistant that's helping you with your deals in the background autonomously.
Well, I guess from a standpoint of the solo agent,
Yeah.
this could, in this industry, we've in the last whatever years, what's the term I want to use? Using a virtual assistant. That's the word, virtual
Yeah.
assistant, and so forth. This is filling that gap. This
Yeah.
is having that virtual assistant transaction coordinator working with you. So allowing a solo agent who may have been tapped out at X amount of deals might be able to do 2x deals before, maybe,
Right.
now I actually need to hire a human because,
Yeah.
I'm really busy. So it's going to extend that timeline, but not to put the transaction coordinators out of business, because I would imagine, are you seeing more transaction coordinators actually grabbing this and leveraging
Yeah.
themselves to be able to,
Yeah.
double their deals, or,
Right.
150% of what they've been doing?
Yeah, so there's a big gap of, let's say, deals per month, where a solo agent starts feeling tapped out, but still can't afford even a VA or a TC, because the actual like financial volume they're doing a month is not enough to justify that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's say it's 3 deals a month is where an agent starts to feel like, okay, I have a bunch like too much paperwork to do. But 3 deals a month isn't enough to justify the cost of a human VA or a TC. We want to bridge that gap and actually help you scale to where hiring a TC, hiring a VA is comfortable. And maybe you don't have to hire 2 TCs, 3 VAs. You just do 1 TC who's sitting at the throne overseeing all your deals at once. And on the TC side, our TCs are are absolutely killing it. They're coming in, setting up their templates that they've already had in other systems, and doubling, even tripling at times their deal volume, all within a span of a couple of weeks to a month.
And they probably actually, I mean, they're probably hooking on to Ava real quick because they're just doing that many more deals at the same
Oh
time
yeah,
that they're really
yeah,
going, oh, wow, she can do this. Oof, just go
yeah,
through it.
yeah, yeah. It makes
Um,
makes a TC into a super TC.
yeah,
We want to see the first TC to help close 1,000 deals in 1 month through
1,000
Ava.
deals.
A
Wow.
thousand deals because
Wow.
we have some TCs who are hitting the 150, 200 a month, but can Ava automate so much of their work that they are solely alone doing 1,000 deals in a month? That would be, I would call Guinness Book of World Records to
Yeah,
get that printed.
that's a lot. That's a lot of deals. That's a
That's a
lot of
lot of
deals.
deals. Hmm.
Before getting, obviously, we kind of I want to finish up with with pricing, and then obviously what people need
Right.
to do, either to
Yeah.
you'll do a one-on-one with them or whatever,
Yes.
and show them how that works. Was
Right.
there anything that we should have talked about prior to pricing and how to actually
Yeah.
get?
No, I think that we covered it. We covered what Ava does, how
Mhm.
easy it is to just put a contract in, and the big agentic Ava that's coming. I know there are a lot of agents listening to this who may not want to get into a tool and do the back office work, but they're interested in an autonomous agent.
Mhm.
So if you visit our website, you will hear about our current product if you're a TC or a team, and you'll have the ability to sign up for the wait list for our agentic Ava. So both of those
Yeah,
are
I want if you could from the AI world, we hear this terminology all the time, agentic, right? That's
yes.
the term. Explain
Good
what
question.
that means.
I will. So the difference between an agentic AI and let's just say your regular ChatGPT is you have to go to ChatGPT and keep prompting it. Like, hey, do this, now do that, now do this, now do that. And that's how Ava works today as well. But if you're sitting and prompting her, you're not on the couch having a conversation with your client.
Right.
So an agentic AI basically wakes up, has a bunch of tools in its disposal like e-sign, drafting emails, reading documents, and it just figures out what to do automatically, autonomously, and also in that vein has the ability to stop and ask you for help. So it just does the work autonomously,
Just
and
like
that's
a
what we call it.
transaction coordinator, a human transaction coordinator would typically do as a human. They're making those decisions for the
Right,
agent.
right.
Hey, we need to send out an email. 'Cause that's just the
Yes,
service we provide.
correct.
There, it's going to act more humanly.
More human-like of waking up, figuring out what to do, and
Right.
then running the
What
deals.
what
Yeah.
needs to be done in there. Okay. So anything else prior to getting in the price? I think we
No, I
hopefully
think
you
we're
get a
good.
good
Yeah, we covered
idea.
everything.
Hopefully you, if you don't have enough interest right now to go to the website, which we're going to give you here in a second, and Karan's information, so he'll do a one-on-one demo. If you don't have enough interest right now, I don't know, what to do for you, because I am interested. I mean, obviously we know some different brokerages are working on things, but I will tell you this: if they just say AI, walk away. If
Yes,
they're not explaining what it's going to actually, that AI is specifically going to do for you, walk
hmm
away because they
that's
don't
a
know
good
what they're
idea
talking
in
about.
my opinion. We
Yeah.
need
Oh, I hate
everyone
that.
likes to take hype words, but not
Right.
figure out what to do. So we've been really trying to make sure when we put AI on our website, we have a clear map of what it does for you.
hmm Well, that's why I wanted you to define agentic. So when you say, "Hey, the
Yes,
agentic AI version of Ava's
yes,
coming out,"
yes.
Ava is your virtual transaction coordinator.
Yep.
And now it gets into obviously the transaction coordinators today. A lot of them are pay for play, which is several hundreds of dollars. Which to me, it's still great because they help you
Yeah.
grow your business. And anyone that's grown their business to levels twice of what the average agent's doing, all have someone that they're leveraging to take that time away. Ava's here to do that. Talk to us about pricing. What's this cost per transaction? Or I imagine you've got it down. Or
Yeah.
how does it work?
So your first transaction is free. When you upload your contract, you can set up a deal and run through it entirely with Ava's help, and we will not interrupt you at any point. Then, moving forward, you can purchase credits. For a credit, you get an entire deal with that credit, and you get charged upon starting the deal. So our credits basically cover you for all of Ava's help and all of the work you're doing for that entire deal, and it costs $9.99 a credit.
So
If you
like
start at the listing phase and you do all your listing work and then you go under contract with your purchase agreement or the signed offer, it will be 2 credits because we count it as two different deals you're working. So that in that case, you would be spending 2 credits or $19.98.
for 10 or $20. I mean, even if it was $50 a credit, I could just see. Maybe you might not see it right now, but when the Agentic AI comes out, I guarantee it'd be worth $50 a credit.
We are planning on restructuring our pricing with the Agentic Ava, but if you sign up between, I guess today is April 7th of 2026, and whenever Agentic Ava releases, this is the pricing you will see live. And then also you can buy credits in bulk, and as you buy them in bigger bundles, we discount them all the way up to 60% off. And at 60% off, you're getting each credit for $4. And our
Oh
credits
my
never
God.
expire, so you can just buy a bunch of credits, put it in your bank, and then use them for the year. Nobody's going to bother you about anything related to seat-based pricing, none of that. We allow you to invite as many people as you want to. The only thing we charge is when you're starting a deal, give us a credit. That's pretty much it.
Well, the fact that you're doing the first one for free says a lot about. Obviously, it makes it a no-brainer to try this.
Yes.
Try it out. See what it's like. Obviously, we know it probably takes a typical agent 5 or 10 before they really get the groove of how to truly leverage it to its
Yeah.
max. But
Yeah.
then Agentic's going to come out, and then you're at a whole nother level there.
Right. Then we
I
want
mean,
Ava to take the buck and do it for you at that point. Yeah.
it's a no-brainer. I don't, this is I want to share this with everybody. I'd love to hear the feedback from the people I know. Hey, try
Yeah.
this out for your next transaction and get on the demo with Karan
Yeah.
and figure it out. This is $10 a transaction. I mean, really? I mean, if that can help you, some of these agents who are hitting that lid, and they're like, man, I don't know if I can really afford a transaction coordinator, which I would kind of disagree with you, but if they did say that. But if you are at that point, which a lot of agents are, for $10, you're going to leverage a lot of time.
Right.
What would you figure through an entire transaction? I know this is kind of a ballpark figure, but I imagine you guys have thought about it. How many hours do you think it's saved an agent on a typical transaction that, maybe a 30-day transaction
Right.
from contract to closing? How many hours in there is it saving them?
I it's hard to say. I'd say anywhere between 10 to 30 hours, depending on how
10 to
complicated the
30 hours. Wow,
Yeah.
that's. I mean, 10 hours.
Right.
I would go. Wow. Well, I'm not a real estate agent, so I don't know. I mean, the real estate agents
Yeah.
that
I mean,
start using it.
reading the contract alone and setting everything up itself could get you up to an hour or two. And
Mm-hmm.
then every email that needs to be put together takes a lot of time, especially the more complicated the email gets. But now Ava's just zoop reading everything and putting it into an email.
Well, I go back to that agent you mentioned briefly there, where the other agent said, I've done a deal with you before, but now your communication is at a higher
Yeah.
level. The
Mhm.
reason why it's at a higher level is because they weren't taking the time to send emails before. Now they're sending the emails strategically. Now, does Ava remind you, like, hey, we need to send an email today on
Yeah.
this? Or
She
she's
does.
so,
Yeah, she sends you an email reminder. She'll remind you in the chat. You can even set it up to Ava automatically prepares the emails. You just have to come in and hit send, and you get a reminder for that too.
right. I mean, the
Yeah.
reminder is priceless. When you're running around like some of these agents are, let alone taking care of their kids and
Yes.
doing this and that, and they got another call coming in, they got a listing
Right.
appointment, to be reminded, like, hey, you need to send this email out today, boom, 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 and then have her send it out. I mean, it's going to move your business. $10, you've got an assistant through the
Yes.
entire process. Oh my God, you're charging way too low. I mean, maybe you got to get enough customers and you'll start raising the price there, because
we're
the value.
figuring out pricing right now. We're so focused on actually building a good solution.
Yeah,
We'll figure out the pricing as the product gets to where we want it to be.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so you will do one-on-one demos. Am I correct, or your team?
Right. Yes. You can easily book a demo with us at listedkit.com. That's listedkit.com. The big yellow button there is to book a demo with me.
Yep, it's
But
right here on your screen. I got it right here in front of me. So you just up in the top right corner, book a demo.
yes. And
Very
if you
nice
go
site. You got the drop down menus. Anything that I know, one of the things you had me do is go to some of the feedback that
Mhm.
some of the
the
agents.
customer stories, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good place to see real users, how they've been using Listing Hit and different personas. We have a TC there, we have an agent there, we have a team there. And if you don't want to talk to me, that's totally fine. You've heard me for an hour now.
Mm-hmm.
You can directly hit try free and sign up yourself and try it out with a contract. Like it's just as easy as sign up and upload the contract, and you'll be guided through all the other steps after that.
Guided to connect the email,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Hmm. Everything.
The one question actually we did not talk about. We mentioned it earlier. Compliance.
Yes.
When you're scanning that in every state's a little different. Tell us about that because I think that's an important piece of when
Yes.
you're scanning in the contract. What is it pulling out? What is it looking for?
Right. So on the pulling out piece, Ava has been tweaked over time to figure out which state we're in and then pull out key information based on the contract. The key idea there was not to build a state specific AI, but build a really good contract reader that then understands which state we're in and pulls it out as if it was reading a contract like a human. Okay, this box is checked, so we go to check that clause.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in that clause, I see these dates are written, and builds it out like a transaction instead of just blanket pulling things out for the sake of pulling them out. On the other compliance piece, Ava, we allow you to give us a checklist of what documents your brokerage tracks for different kinds of deals, and then as you upload, okay, I got this addendum, I got this disclosure, I got this document. Ava actually scans documents for missing signatures, missing informations, missing checkboxes, and gives you a report to take a look at to show you, okay, you submitted this EMD receipt, but then the amount is different from what was on the purchase price or on the
Right.
purchase agreement,
Right.
or the seller's name is different. What's going on here? Pointing out, simple stuff, and then gives you suggestions on how to rectify it. So that's kind of how we're doing compliance right now. And the big piece there that we're going to fix with the next version is if a document is not signed, we'll have e-sign ready to send it for signature directly through
To
listing.
get it corrected. Now,
Yeah.
in obviously all these contracts, they have that area where the agent can freehand a statement in there or
Hmm.
whatever. Hey, they're going to get 3% seller concessions.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Not having been to a contract class, but talking to people who have done contract classes and some of the importance there are some times where you could say things that are not quite kosher as far as legal wise. And obviously your broker ultimately wants to obviously guide you there, but will it point out something like, oh, you may want to double check that?
Not as a part of the compliance scan, because
Mm-hmm.
that's starting to bleed into the legal territory, and Ava is not a lawyer.
Right.
So it's kind of squishy. Like if the handwriting is illegible, Ava might point it out as like, I can't understand what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And her handwriting comprehension is on par with human handwriting comprehension, in my opinion. So if she points that out, then it might be so illegible that people are signing to terms that they don't even understand. So
Right.
you might want to tweak that. But in terms of, will Ava point something out based on the compliance best practices? Not yet. That's again a preferences piece that we're working on for
Yeah.
Agentic
Well,
Ava.
I would imagine. I mean, if anybody's got something where where they are wording it kind of or putting something in there that's not normal, like hey, a
Yeah,
3% seller concession. Okay, well that's standard.
yeah,
But it is like unique language. They're probably hopefully they're already getting with their broker and making sure they're wording it
right.
correctly. If they're not,
Yes,
they're putting their liability out there, obviously,
correct.
because it comes up. But it's so rare that they should be
Yeah,
actually checking because they need their broker's endorsement because their broker's got to back it, right? I mean, their broker's
yeah,
ultimately carrying the insurance on it.
yes,
So someone put something in there. Hey, Karat, this is awesome. I'm really excited for you guys, and I'm going to be putting it out there. Everyone let you know the link is down in the show notes. If
yes,
you're watching this, obviously whether it's on YouTube or listening to it, in the show notes will be the link. It's simply listedkit.com. Obviously, if you do just put in that, tell you heard it on here on the Real Estate Excellence podcast. I would appreciate that, and so Karan can actually check his marketing stats there where the stuff is
yes.
coming from. But I appreciate you coming on. Hold on, because we want to do that we're going to do a little minute 2 statement for my group there. So
Yep.
just stay on. I'm going to sign off the show. So again, check your show notes. You got to try it. I mean, first one
Yeah,
is free. Check it
yeah,
out. See what AI is doing in your field. And I think it'll, for a lot of people who are nervous, it's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to take over your contract, but maybe you run side by side of what Ava's doing and what you're doing and show
yeah.
how she can actually start doing some of this stuff for you.
Hmm.
Right?
That's exactly right.
All right. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Stay
Tracy.
on. All right.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.